Brought to you by...
Horror comes in all forms, manifesting itself into all walks of our mostly average lives. Its tendrils run deep into the very foundations of what it means to be human. We incorporate it into our day-to-day in the forms of mundane and mostly meaningless fears, while others seek it out to a more extreme degree. As creative types, we find horror in every corner of the canvas, blending the dark with the light. In this field, we find mixes of horror and comedy, horror and drama, and horror and action, all of which explore very different versions of fear. This has been done since the earliest days of cinema and has only grown in popularity over time. Nowadays, many believe a film such as The Terminator to be a straightforward action sci-fi romp, due in part to its overly action-heavy sequels. And yes, it is an action film at heart, but what they often forget is that even an action film can have a basis in the slasher genre. Hello friends, and welcome back to ETF. Horror comes in all forms. Sometimes it's straightforward, other times it's blended with a healthy heap of balls-out adrenaline. This is the case today as we turn our gaze back to Adam Wingard, prior to his Blair Witch Woodland adventure, when he chose to invite in The Guest. In this unique yet familiar tale, a soldier introduces himself to the Peterson family, claiming to be the friend of their son who died in action. After the young man is welcomed into their home, a series of accidental deaths seem to be connected to his presence. This film is without a doubt an unflinching love letter to the inspirations of films like the original Terminator or even RoboCop to some degree. It steeps us in vibrant and colorful sequences and a synth-pop synthwave score and tracks from lesser-known artists, creating a pulsing ambience to the piece. It focuses on the nature of inviting a stranger into your private moments and allowing them to become close to the things and places you hold most dear. We are introduced to this family during the hardest period that they have ever experienced. Our stranger David is like an invading force on their lives, creating this present, visible, living, and breathing reminder of what they have lost. Despite the act that David puts on to convince the parents that he is a kind and selfless guy, we watch as he begins to quickly do things to win over each of them. Having drinks with Spencer, humiliating the brother's bullies, and accompanying Anna to a party and winning over her friends. It's when he is initially invited to stay with them that we gain our first glimpse into his truly unhinged nature. During a scene when he is shown in the room that he will be staying in, we watch as he seats himself on the bedside, the first time that we have seen him alone with his thoughts. All the emotion and pleasantries drain from his face, and he becomes cold and rigid, like a machine powering down to recharge. Moments like this are revisited again and again throughout. Each time is more unsettling than the last. It's when the climax shifts into this heavily action-oriented sequence that these elements of David are built upon. Gunshots don't seem to faze him. Car wrecks, fires, explosions are child's play, and he seems impressively strong throughout the story and completely unaffected by fatigue. The film features many moments of subtle detail that lure you deeper into the simplicity of this visual tale. As we are introduced to our protagonist Anna, we instantly are presented with a connection between her and David. We watch as she wakes up in a t-shirt with a nondescript symbol on it. Is somewhat similar to the one that David sports on his sweatshirt when we first meet him. Throughout, we are dialed into small moments when David is listening in and analyzing each of these characters, learning details about each of them that he can then later use to manipulate, which makes for a highly engaging experience. But what is even more interesting to me is the way that we watch David's personality shift from fun, calm, and sincere to cold, harsh, and without mercy. Dan Stevens portrays this character beautifully in every frame of this story, balancing the warm, heartfelt demeanor with the lifeless presence of an emotionless monster. The control he has over his expressions is razor sharp, timing every micro movement with precision to pull off the moment's switch from comforting to stoic in almost a robotic and inhuman manner. Like most of Wingard's films, he delivers a gorgeous visual presentation that I feel perfectly captures both the slow, calculating atmosphere of subtler moments and the harsh, escalating violence of action sequences. While this one does lean more towards the action thriller side of filmmaking, I chose to cover this today both because of its ties to the Terminator slasher origins and the pure Halloween aesthetic that rests at its core. That's right. You could overlook it completely in most scenes, but this one actually does take place during the Halloween season. An interesting and unique detail that has no real bearing on the story, but makes for a more visually interesting product and leaves room for some small cameos from the Halloween 3 masks during the finale. Throughout this film, we watch as David's fractured view of the world slowly influences the feel of those around him, causing intrigue, comfort, and discomfort to the family in a variety of ways. The film is paced perfectly to build in its intensity from its simple cold opening all the way through to the fast, pulse-pounding finale. I'm giving The Guest an A+. There are a few films that toe the line of strong action thriller and gentle touch of horror so perfectly as this one. If you're a fan of the original Terminator, then this is definitely one that you should check out. It brings a fun, dark, and unique experience to the stage. I think that most audiences will get some fun out of this, even if it's not quite the slasher film that you may have been searching for this Halloween. If you enjoyed today's video, feel free to leave your thoughts down in the comments below. If you'd like to show your support for the channel, please consider checking us out on Patreon, where every pledge, no matter how small, goes right back into the channel, to help keep fresh content coming your way. As always, don't forget to subscribe, stay spooky, and I will catch you all next time. Thanks for watching.